to your stage. I'm Zoe. Today we're going to do a little bit of character work. So we're going to work through some questions that you might want to answer when you're looking at creating a character, and you can hopefully use those for monologues, scenes, plays, whatever you're in. You'll hopefully be able to take these forward and use them in the future, because creativity doesn't have to stop just because we're at home. And hopefully all of these different things, all of these questions that we address today will build a really solid character for you. So what you're going to need today is just a piece of text that you're working on. So be it a monologue, a poem, a story from a book, or a play that you might be using for drama or for lambda or anything like that. Just have that to hand so that you can refer back to it as and when it's needed. Awesome. So the first thing we're going to do, as ever, is a little bit of a warm-up. So I'm going to take my glasses off for this. And we're just going to take our hands and we're going to run them all along our jawlines and press into all the lumps and bumps that you've got here, and up onto your cheekbones and round over to your brow bone and into your forehead and down onto your sinuses and round onto your chin. And this just wakes up all the muscles in your face, gets them moving. And you can take your fingers and just pop them here and give yourselves a little temple massage. It releases some of the tension. And then we're just going to shake everything out. So we're going to just like that. And then that will hopefully have loosened up your face and a bit of your body. You can get into your body a little bit so that we can get going on some character work. So the first thing that we need to do when we're looking at character is answer the given questions. So that is all about what is presented to you within the text and what you know about your character. So it's often quite easy to just go through the text and highlight or circle the answers to the questions that I'm going to ask you now. So the best thing to do is grab that bit of text that we talked about earlier and a pencil, just so that you're ready to go as we go through the questions that I'm going to ask. So the first question that we will look at is who. Who is your character? Who are they themselves, and who are they within the play or within the piece of text that you are looking at? So often you can go through and your character themselves will tell you a lot about who they are, and if your character doesn't tell you, the stage directions will tell you, and if the stage directions don't tell you, the other characters in the scene will tell you. So it's wise to know, if you're doing a monologue, a little bit before the monologue that you're doing and a little bit after, just because that gives us a nice context for where the piece sits within the play. So if you've got the full text to hand, if you're doing a monologue, then it would be a good chance to quickly go through, and up until that point, just pick out some important key points that have been said about your character or that your character has said about themselves. If you don't have the rest of the text, it's not a problem. Often monologues, scenes will tell you a lot about your characters. So now is a good time to grab that pencil and just go through and tell us and give us a circle on everything that your character says about themselves, anything that is said about your character, and anything that the stage directions tell us about your character specifically. So who they are themselves, and who they are within the piece. So that could be things like age, name, location, relationships to other characters, importance of their role within the text, and who they are at the time of speaking. So, for example, Juliet, we know she is one of our, from Romeo and Juliet, we know she's one of our protagonists, that she's one of the driving forces for the story Romeo and Juliet, that she's young, I think she's only 14 or 13 in the text, that she is the daughter of the Capulets, that she is quite an important figure within her society, and that she's also quite an important figure within the play itself. You could look at the relationship she has with the nurse. You can look at the relationship she has with Romeo. All of these things will add to the understanding of who she is as a character. So take a moment now to grab your text and have a little look through and just circle, underline, highlight all the things that your character says about themselves, that are said about them, and that is given to you in the stage directions. Great, now that you've answered who, we're going to answer where. So where is a question that has a few different meanings. It could be, where is your character from originally? Where are they now within the context of the play, like geographically, where are they? And where is the piece set? So those three questions might all have the same answer. They might have three different answers. Only you're going to know that. So grab your pencil and your text and just quickly whip through and have a little look and see where it's acknowledged the where questions. So where are they from? Where are they now? And where is the piece set? You can do this on a separate piece of paper if it's helpful for you, just to stop the thoughts getting muddled. Cool, so thus far we've answered who and we've answered where. Now we're going to answer what. So what can have a few different connotations or meanings. What does your character want? What's the point of the speech or the scene? And what are they trying to achieve? So what you're looking for there is the difference between your character's objective and your character's super objective. So every character has an objective within a scene or a monologue. That's what they want right now in this moment. What are they trying to achieve with this piece of text? Your super objective is what the overall arc for them is throughout the play. So take a moment to establish what your character's objective is within that piece of text that you have. And write that down on a spare piece of paper. Just in a couple of sentences, what does your character want in this moment in the piece? And then if you have the rest of the text, you can look for their super objective, and that will influence everything that your character does moving forward from that point in the entire text. So you can also take a moment to write that down. So write down your character's objective, what they want now, and then your character's super objective, what they want for the whole piece. The next one we're going to answer is why. Why is your character doing what they're doing? So this can be influenced by what and where and who they are. Why they're doing what they're doing is really important because it gives you as an actor the reason to be making this speech. If it is to get revenge, then that has a really different attitude than if it's to win someone over. So it's important to make that decision as to why your character is making this speech, why your character is engaging in this scene, why your character is doing what they're doing. And again, you can write this down on a spare piece of paper. So we've answered who, where, what, and now we're doing why. Why are they giving this speech to this person? Why are they doing it now? Why do they want to give this speech? Why are they engaging in this scene? All of those things will feed into what your character is looking to achieve within this piece of text. Thus far, we've done who, where, what, why, and now we're going to do when. So this is the fifth question in our 5 given questions that we're going to answer today. And when is a question that you may have already answered earlier on, just by going through the other questions. However, it's important to make a note of it. When is this speech or scene happening within the play? And when is it happening within their lifetime? Because if the character that you are playing has lots of shared history with the other characters in the scene, then that will really influence the way that they are with those characters. If they don't know them, then that will also influence the way that they are. So it's important to understand when this is happening. And broader than that, it is important to understand when in time this is happening. So that's quite simple. Is it happening in modern day? Is it happening in Shakespearean times? Is it happening in the 1960s? Is it happening in the future? That should be a nice, simple question. And if that isn't given to you in the given circumstances, make it up. Because this character, as you know, is a character that you're creating for the audience. And so you have to really believe it. So now that we've answered all of those 5 questions, who, where, what, why, and when, you hopefully have a really good backing and understanding of the basics of what you understand of your character. Now that you've got the 5 main questions, there are some other questions that you can answer as well. What's your character's dream? What is their biggest secret? What kind of relationship do they have with their family? Do they have siblings? Do they have a job? Where are they from in terms of the city? that kind of thing, you can really delve really deeply into the understanding of your character's history and their background, and that will only ever help to influence and broaden your understanding of your character. However, they're not essential questions. As long as you've answered those 5, you should have a pretty solid understanding of who your character is as a person. Now that we have answered all those questions and the additional questions that I just posed, it's now time to make some decisions about your character. So this is where you can step away from what the text tells you and start to make some decisions for yourself about who your character is. So the first thing we're going to talk about is body language. Body language changes how your character is perceived by the audience and by other characters. So I'm sure you will all have addressed this before, but the best way to get into your character's body language is to just start by walking around the room as yourself. So again, if you don't have loads of space, you can nip outside and do this, or go to a different room and pop me on pause. But the best way to get into your character is to just walk around as if you are yourself. And then you can start to change the parts of your body that you're leading with. So you might have a character that leads with their nose, and that changes the way that their body reacts and the way that people see them. It gives them a very regal sense of authority and purpose. Whereas if you led with your hips and you slumped your shoulders over a little bit, that might make your character seem a little bit more slovenly, a little bit lazier, a little bit lower status. So take this now, I'm going to pop some different body parts up on the screen, and you can just walk around your space as your character, leading with the different parts of the body that I suggest, and see how that influences your character, and soon enough you will find something that feels like the right fit for your character. Once you've made a decision about your body language, about which parts of your body your character leads with, and about which parts of your body that are really important to your character, you can make decisions about their energy. So I don't mean like how frantic they are, but what I mean is the energy that they lead with from within. So teachers often have a very authoritative energy because they're commanding a room. That might be the same for kings, queens, princesses, politicians, celebrities. All those kind of people have a very authoritative aura about them. However, if your character is not like that, if your character is somebody of a lower class, or somebody who is a villain, they might have a different kind of energy. Their energy might be lower, and they might be more introverted, or they might speak with a smaller voice or a larger voice. All of those things come from the energy of your character, so you can make those decisions depending on who your character is. Now that you've decided on you've got your body language and you've got your energy. So those two things are quite important, and they will influence a lot of how your character is perceived by other characters on stage and by the audience. You can make a decision about accent. Now, not everybody's great at accents, and that's okay, but your character might be from a certain part of the country, from a certain part of the world, and that might influence the kind of accent you do. So you might do an American accent, you might do a Scottish accent, you might do a Welsh accent, you might do a Spanish accent for all I know. Those kind of things can also influence. If you don't feel comfortable doing accents, don't worry about it, but if you want to give it a go, see when you look back at your where question, how does that influence where the character is from? Are they from Scotland, and therefore do you need to do a Scottish accent, or are they from America and therefore you need to do an American accent? If that's not something you want to do, then you can just skip ahead from this bit, because I understand that accents are a whole nother class altogether. Great, so now that we have answered all of the different things that I've posed to you, you can take the answers to all of those questions, the who, what, where, why, when, the body language, the accent, the class, your energy, and take all those things, those decisions that you have made about your character, and apply them to the piece of text that we talked about earlier. So take yourself off, and begin to apply all the things that you have discovered about your character and layer them onto your piece of text and see how that influences your character as a whole. How does that change the perception of your character? How does that change your feeling about your character? How does that change how others feel about your character? And just really start to apply those different things. And hopefully what you will come out of this with is a really fully rounded, wholesome character that you could drop into a scene or drop into the play and really believe in and really feel like you are committed to who they are as a character. I hope you have enjoyed this little character workshop that we've done. If you've got any questions, then drop them in the comments below, and I hope that this is all really helpful so that you can apply this to any piece of text that you get given in the future, and that it will form a really great, strong basis of character understanding for you moving forward.